Hello there, and a very warm welcome to a beautifully sunny day here in the south of France from the France Flying Guide. Well, it's all about driving this week, and I have a few tips for you generally on how best to make the most of your motoring in France. Generally, driving in France is an absolute pleasure, we have found. There's less traffic, there's a lot more space, and the roads are much better maintained. There's actually no road tax in France, and therefore you have tolls instead, and okay, you pay the tolls on a lot of motorways, but the system works much better. The roads are maintained at night. You very seldom see contraflow systems and such like. It's important to be very careful when you're driving in France if you're coming from England in a right-hand drive car. Be especially careful when you're setting off from a break, for example overnight, or from a lunchtime or break at one of the service stations, because your instinct is probably to go on the left. Remember, get it into your head that you have to drive on the right. Take greater care when overtaking, obviously. If you have a passenger, that's going to help. The drink driving laws are actually stricter in France than in the UK, so in a word, don't even think about it. Also, there are on-the-spot fines for offences such as speeding or not wearing a seatbelt. Seatbelts, by the way, are compulsory in both front and back, just as they are in England. Another rule that came, I think, about a year and a half ago is that everybody must carry with them a yellow fluorescent jacket and a red warning triangle. The speed limit in France is slightly more generous. On motorways it's 130, which actually goes down to 110 in bad weather. Normally in sort of built-up areas on the edge of towns or villages, it's 90, and then in towns or villages it'll be 50, but that's usually clearly marked. Petrol is about the same price. It's a little bit cheaper, we found, at supermarkets, service stations, of which there are many. Remember, though, it's a good idea before you leave to let your credit or debit card company know that you're coming to France, because sometimes if it's a payment abroad, which is substantial and unusual, they will not authorise it. Also, remember that a lot of petrol stations are closed in the lunchtime period and sometimes in the evening too. You'll find automatic ones, but sometimes the credit card doesn't work in them, so just bear that in mind and make sure you don't run close to empty at any time. Generally, as I say, we found that driving in France is an absolute pleasure. You normally get to where you're going to in the time that you think it will take, rather than it taking, for example, in England, perhaps a 20-minute journey, taking anything up to an hour or even more on bad traffic days. The roads, as I say, are great. You don't want to take the motorway. Great idea. Go off onto one of those beautiful little side roads with trees down. Doesn't even matter if you get lost, really. It really is quite a pleasure. Well, that's it for this week. Do keep your comments and suggestions coming in. Let me know what you'd like to hear me speak about on this little film. In the meantime, I leave you with good wishes for a lovely week, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.